If you ask me, the CS3 is the best high-end gun ever made. But it should be. It's $1,750. And like most high-end guns, it comes with an electronic frame. But for an additional $400, you can downgrade it to the mechanical frame, making it an eye-watering $2,150.
Worst that can happen is I can spill some on my $3,000 suit. Come on!
But does adding that mechanical frame to the best high-end electronic gun actually make it the best mechanical gun? The CS3, after a short hiccup at launch, has proven itself to be a very good paintball gun. It has some of the best ergonomics I've ever felt. The OP Core bolt is the most reliable system in paintball. It has that adjustable rake trigger. It has a very good screen and button system. There's lots of great stuff about that CS3. I did a whole entire review just on that gun. There's a link in the description to watch that, or yeah, up there. There's a link too. I've now played with the CS3 a handful of times, and now the CS3 Mechanical 2 weekends, and the thing just rips. It's really, really easy to shoot quickly, and that's coming from me, you know, someone who shoots very, very slow, but I can still shoot this thing around 8 balls a second. I mean, it's nothing crazy, but it's considerably better than I'm like, you know, getting on my EMech, which is about 4. The CS3 also shoots really well. It's very, very quiet and smooth. It's a little bit quieter and a little bit smoother than, say, my eMech or my Etha 3M. But oddly enough, the cheaper 180R is a bit smoother and a bit quieter. Something else we found out during the review of that 180R.
My head is way softer.
And I can shoot the CS3 mechanical frame quicker mainly because of the valve it has. It comes with the FL Pro 3 valve. And compared to the stock eMech valve, the FL Pro 3 valve is just a lot shorter and lighter, so it's just way easier to pull that trigger a lot quicker. But that being said, you can upgrade the eMech to take the FL3 valve, and that's going to make that eMech shoot pretty much just as quickly as this CS3 mechanical. And you can buy one of those FL3 valves at bfpgear.com. They have all kinds of great stuff for your eMech, or maybe you just want to go for it and pick up an Etha 3M. Without them, these videos wouldn't be possible, so go buy stuff there only. Use all your money for food and buy an Etha 3M. There's a lot going on with this trigger that also helps it shoot a little quicker. It's got a ball bearing that actually touches this activation lever, which should help speed it up a little bit. That lever is also unique to the CS3 and the CS2, whereas most of the other mechanical guns, the trigger just straight touches the valve. Having this lever on there should make it a little bit lighter and easier to shoot. You can adjust the pre-travel, post-travel, and activation, just like most mechanical or electronic guns. But what makes the trigger feel really like crisp and precise is the use of magnets and a spring to return that trigger pull. And it just feels really good and solid. Those magnets just, I don't know, just make it feel really crisp, and it's just really nice. The frame, you can also adjust the rake just like that electronic frame, and this just really helps you dial in the angle of that trigger and get it precisely how you want it. For the most part, I find that a lot of these Planet Eclipse guns just out of the box are kind of set up perfectly for me, so I really don't ever fuss with the triggers though. My only problem though is I wish the trigger had a little bit more rounded face, kind of like the Infamous triggers. They're very round instead of being flat. I just kind of feel like those triggers, a little bit more rounded sides. I can pull on the side of the trigger as much. I don't have to like press directly on it. I don't know, it's more of a comfort thing, but I really like the rounded triggers. I don't really like this flat trigger face. Installing the frame is very quick and easy, and unlike the CS2 frame, the CS3 frame is coming with grips, a complete regulator, and the pops on and off, so you don't really have to swap anything around. And almost everybody that bought the CS2 mechanical frames was buying grips, a regulator, and a pops on off. So that's kind of why they're including all that stuff now, and that's really where that additional $200 comes from. It's those grips, the regulator, and that pops on off. So it's really nice they included it. It just makes, you know, installing the thing way easier. It takes maybe 30 seconds. You just remove the electronic frame and just kind of put the mechanical frame on. There are 2 frame screws though, so it's not as like slick and clever as that Lux frame being it all toolless, but I mean, it really, you know, it's 30 seconds max. I also really like how they designed the mechanical frame to kind of like take some of the electronics from that original electronic frame. You just swap over the top board and the main board and you're set. I mean, it really doesn't do much though. You're only going to really get a timer on there, but it's just nice. You know, you got a timer if you're playing mechanical 10-man tournaments. You don't have to like tape a wash to the side of your gun or anything crazy. You got a timer now. So it shoots really well. It feels really good in my hands. I really like the ergonomics. The Planet Eclipse guns are built the best, but is that $2,150 really worth it? No. So I do think the CS3 mechanical gun is the best mechanical gun you can get, but you gotta buy a CS3 and then you gotta buy a $400 frame for it, and $2,150, it's just a lot of money.
Oh, hey. Yeah, the guy in the $4,000 suit is holding the elevator, but the guy doesn't make that in 3 months. Come on!
And I kind of get the price of the CS3, $1,750. You know, it seems like a fair price. There's a lot of electronic stuff in there. There's other guns that are priced near that. But when you take out all of that expensive stuff and then add $400 onto the price of the thing, it just seems a little odd to me. And you know, for $1,100 you can buy a 180R, and for another $200 you can pick up the mechanical frame. That's a massive $850 less. And if you ask me, the 180R really is 90% of what the CS3 is. Yeah, the CS3 is nicer, you know, it has more bells and whistles and just kind of feels a little better in the hands, but I don't know if it's $850 nicer. And then we have the Ether 3 line. I mean, you can get an electronic version of that Ether 3 for $550, or the mechanical version, the Ether 3M, for $400. And, you know, I think those are probably 90% of what the 180R is. And even though the CS3 is Planet Eclipse's like highest end, flashiest gun, and that 180R is a very good value in that kind of mid-range, I think that the Ether 3 line is really that standout line. It's just so much more affordable and performs really, really well. The Ether 3s have the Gamma Core bolt. They come with that pops on off. They have a great feed neck. They have toolless bolt removal. All the important things that make the Planet Eclipse gun stand out are pretty much coming on the Ether 3. Sure, you don't have an OLED screen. It's not made out of aluminum. It is made out of glass reinforced nylon. The trigger is not adjustable, but it's just so much cheaper. But unlike the high-end guns from Planet Eclipse, you can't just really swap stuff around. If you want to have an Ether 3 that's electronic, you gotta buy the entire gun. And if you want an Ether 3 that's mechanical, you gotta buy the entire gun again. But I think if I owned a CS3, I probably just would buy the frame, you know. I mean, I could buy the Ether 3M for $400 or just the frame for my CS3 for $400, but I'm only going to be using one gun at a time, and switching stuff around really doesn't take that long. But that's if I owned a CS3, and I don't own a CS3, and you know, most people don't own a CS3, so that it really doesn't mean it's the best. You just really can't get away from that insane $2,000 plus price.
Come on!
And I think that the best straight up mechanical gun, it really has to be that Ether 3M. It's just such a good value, and you really can't go wrong with them. The Ether 3M is fantastic, but then I just said I'd get the frame if I had a gun, so I don't know. It's really good, but it's just super expensive.